rather than worrying about what Netflix show to binge watch or what quarantine hobby to pick up, undocumented immigrants here are simply struggling to survive. The fight to fill in Ginsburg's seat in the Supreme Court continues, and two women have emerged as frontrunners. Mayor Bill de Blasio said that if schools were to close down, the government will figure out a way to quickly open them back up. But the possibility of schools closing is leaving many parents with mixed feelings. If President Trump's health were to worsen, this could lead to the cancellation of the two remaining presidential debates, making tomorrow night the final debate of the election season. Regardless of the president-elect, the issue of immigration is further complicated by the coronavirus pandemic. The number of Latinos grew and will continue to grow, making this a population that cannot be ignored. These voices may be small, but they are sure to make a big impact. In Bryant Park for Cooper Squared, I'm Andrea Pineda-Salgado. Today we have reached the unfortunate death toll of 1 million global coronavirus deaths. Though it will take a long time for Asian Americans to heal from this horrible act of hate, this vigil is a small step into a more tolerant future. In Jackson Heights for Cooper Squared, I'm Andrea Pineda-Salgado. The MTA is facing its worst financial crisis in history, warned State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli in a report released Tuesday. Hillcrest High School is one of the 3 vaccination hubs opened yesterday. These hubs will be able to vaccinate 5,000 to 7,000 people per day. Tonight on NYU Now, President-elect Joe Biden introduces members of his foreign policy team. President Trump speaks about a record stock market and a promising vaccine. And a mysterious monolith is found in Utah. Could it be from outer space? These stories next on NYU Now.
Black children matter! Black children matter! Black children matter! Black children matter!
A group of little protesters gathered outside Macy's Herald Square before marching out to protest against police brutality.
The protest was organized by the groups Warriors in the Garden and Moms Moving Forward in an effort to have children participate in protests.
After George Floyd passed away, I felt like if mothers all came together and united, we would be able to change the world in a long-lasting, positive way.
The organizers provided the children with sign-making supplies, snacks, and even bubbles to prep for the big march. Even the smallest of hands helped make signs before taking their voices out into the streets. Protesters marched from Macy's Herald Square to the New York Public Library at Bryant Park. The group encountered another group of much older protesters who cheered them on. This empowered the children to keep using their voices and to not be afraid when they hear the word protests.
Children matter! Black children matter!
He was watching, he saw some things on the news that made him a little more apprehensive, so it was really important to me to get him out and show him that there is absolutely nothing to be, afraid of. He was getting a bit scared of the police, actually. You had fun, right? You liked it? Yeah.
I think that this protest is really awesome. It's small, and I think that it's really important to have one for kids specifically. I've been wanting to be able to bring my kids to a protest just so that they can see firsthand what it's like. And to have one that's designated for kids, I think is really cool because you can bring them safely without worrying about it getting too crazy.
Upon arriving at the library, some of the kids felt empowered to make speeches and talk about their experiences.
There's a lot of police killing a lot of children, and they're not getting to grow up to be old men and women. So I'm just saying, let us grow up.
Let us grow! Let us grow!
I know how children feel when things like this happen. They are heartbroken and they never really have a way to express it. And I really wanted this to be an outlet for children all over New York City to be able to express themselves. And once this starts gaining a lot more attention, children in other places, they can do like children marches in other places and other children can be heard.
These voices may be small, but they are sure to make a big impact. In Bryant Park for Cooper Squared, I'm Andrea Pineda-Salgado. This year's presidential candidates have different ideas on how to deal with immigration. In 2016, President Trump's immigration policy amounted to 3 words:
We will build a great wall along the southern border. And Mexico will pay for the wall.
This helped him at the polls, but the project was incomplete. Only around 400 miles of border wall was built, and Mexico has not paid for it.
During his first term, President Trump was highly criticized for imposing strict travel bans on several Muslim-majority countries.
President Biden has a different approach. If elected, he plans to rescind travel bans imposed by President Trump and stop border wall construction. Biden has also promised to immediately stop separating families at the border.
Their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
The president signed a proclamation dramatically limiting the amount of refugees allowed to enter the United States in 2021. Vice President Biden has set a pledge to admit at least 95,000 refugees if elected.
The two candidates also differ greatly when it comes to DACA, the program for children brought to the U.S. illegally with their parents.
President Trump has set limitations on the program and tried to end it, but was overruled by the Supreme Court. Biden promises to fully reinstate the DACA program and provide a pathway to citizenship for many undocumented immigrants.
And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country.
Biden favors immigration as something that strengthens the economy, whereas President Trump wants to restrict it, fearing immigrants will take American jobs.
Regardless of the president-elect, the issue of immigration is further complicated by the coronavirus pandemic. In New York for NYU Now, I'm Andrea Pineda-Salgado.